if you're watching this video, then it worked. And if it didn't work, then this video is not gonna see the light of day. So here's my challenge. My challenge is I wanna be able to take 2 of these large beach chairs and haul them on the back of my e-bike. Now there's a couple commercial products out there, but they either hold 1 chair or they're just so awkward, I don't think they're gonna work for me. So I wanted to make something that was a quick disconnect and worked with my Topeak quick mount rack. So this QuickTrack that Topeak has, if you're not familiar with it, this is a Topeak rack. This is the bag, and it's got a clip on the front of it. I'll show you the clip right here. And it slides on a track on the rack, and as long as it has this dovetail section here, it just slides right on and snaps into place. That's my goal for this beach chair rack, and I'm going to try to make a quick disconnect flatbed out of my e-bike. Let's see if it works. Quickly, I'll go over the components that I've come up with in my mind, trying to figure out how I can make this happen. First of all is the Topeak fixer. So this is from Topeak, and it's called a Fixer 6. You can kind of see that right here. And this is made to put on the bottom of a basket, if you had a basket for your bike, and you bolt these 4 holes up through the bottom of your bike, and this on the side of your bike, these 2 holes here. And so it would sit underneath your basket like this. It's got the Topeak dovetail QuickTrack here, and then you would just slide it on and that would click into place just like that. So my goal is I'm gonna have this at the front, and this is what's going to lock the flatbed onto my existing Topeak rack. So secondly, I needed a flatbed, right? So I was gonna do a piece of plywood, but not only is that expensive and I don't need the rest of a sheet of plywood laying around, but I wanted something that was all weather. I didn't want to have to paint it. And if you follow any of my videos, I try to make the installs or the modifications look as OEM as possible, try to make them clean. So I bought this cutting board, and at first I wanted it black so it matched the rack and sort of the theme of the bike. But at first I was going to go with a 1/2 inch, and then I thought, well, it's hot down here in Florida, maybe the sun would, you know, sit in the sun and warp. I don't know what it would do or get soft. So I went with a 3/4 inch cutting board, and I'm telling you, this thing is stout. So it's 18 by 24. My goal is to connect that on the bottom just like that, and I'm going to run it into the Topeak rack, and hopefully it'll secure in. Now the other thing I've got going on is the board itself is 24 inches long, and this is probably 5 or 6 inches, so it's not going to be enough to hold the entire board on. So I've bought 2 of these Fixer 6 mounts, and I'm going to take this front section off of one of the sections, and then I'm just going to mount this to the bottom a little bit further back. So actually over the width or the length of the QuickTrack on the bike rack, I should have 2 of these in place, and that'll keep it from going side to side and just make sure that it's extra secure. Now I shouldn't have to cut anything. The screws that came with the this Fixer 6 were about 1/2 inch, and when I got the 3/4 inch board plus the thickness of this Fixer 6 here, I measured that out and got up to about 1.5 inches. So I went and got some 1.5 inch stainless steel screws from Ace Hardware, and I should not have to cut these down. I think they're going to fit perfectly, and then I'm going to countersink these into the cutting board, and we'll see how it comes out. This cutting board is perfect 18 by 24 inches, so I'm just going to mark off the center. I'm going to mark off the center of this fixer 6, and this is 3.5 inches wide. So the middle is pretty well already marked for me because that's the center of that. I'm going to line that up. I've got this hanging over the edge because I want to show you that when you spin this around 180 degrees so that it's oriented properly, it actually pulls this plate up a little farther. So you want to make sure when you're drilling the holes, you don't just even it up like this, because then this won't go all the way down. You need to make sure that is all the way down 90 degrees, and then you want to mark your holes so that you can drill through the board. So what I've done is I put graphite pencil on these holes here, and hopefully when I push down and kind of rub them a little bit, it'll make a nice mark. And before I do that, I'm going to make sure I'm centered, that this is up where it needs to be. And then I'm going to set those down. And there's my marks. I'll measure that from the center just to make sure. They're the same width from the center. I'm going to go with it. Now the bit I've got on here is a countersinking bit, and that will allow the screws to countersink, so hopefully I'll end up with a flush top here. Okay, it feels like the holes are lining up well. That countersink bit is a little small, so I'm gonna drill these holes, and so these stainless steel screws will drop right through. I'm going to drill out this countersunk hole with the 3/16 inch bit, just so they drop through nice and clean. There we go. Okay, so I noticed that where the screws go down into here, this is raised up about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch. I don't know if you can see that profile there, like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the back side of this board and put the countersink bit in that way in order to get these to sit flush. Now that I did that, it allows it to sit flat on the board. So I've got this ready to go. Both sides have a countersink in them, and I'm going to match these up to the holes. And since I'm not quite sure if the 1.5 inches is the perfect depth, I'm going to go in slow with a Phillips screwdriver. Everything looks okay so far. I'm going to put a second one in just to get the first one to stabilize, so the adapter doesn't turn on me. Okay, so alright, so I've got a little bit of a challenge here. I probably have a 1/16 to an 1/8 inch gap that I need to fill up in here because I did countersink these a bit too much. So I'm either going to trim off the ends of the screws, or I'm going to put some stainless steel washers in there and lift the whole thing up. Alright, well that worked out well. It's flush. What I ended up doing was, and I'll show you, you can see I just let the screws come through the bottom because I noticed that it was making just a little bulge right in the middle of the square here, and that's not going to interfere with the track at all. So I just let it come through about, oh, maybe an eighth, 2/8 of an inch, if that. And it's sucked up, it's flat, very solid, and I still have 2 more screws to go. Okay, well, you can see how the front went on. Looks good. You can see that I've got more tools than talent, so a couple of those are countersunk a little bit deep. This one's probably the most shallow, so just be careful when you're countersinking these. And let's take a look at the other side. Looks good. You can see how the screws come out of the bottom, but they do not protrude into any area that the track is in, so it's going to work out perfectly. Let's take a look. Okay, I've only got one bracket on there now, one slider, and that's the front one. And I may shave that down a little bit and attach that to the bar, but I pulled on it and it is pretty solid, so to be honest, I'll probably just wait and not do anything with that and see how it performs over time. But you can see underneath there's still a gap, and that's where the second track will go. But I need to get the pencil under here and mark where the back of the rack goes to, so I know where to mount the quick mount track underneath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up under here, and I'm just going to use my hand to feel where the end is and put a mark with that pencil. So here's the mark for my pencil. That's the back of my Topeak rack when this is fully engaged on the rack. And it's just about the length of this right here, this track section. So I might have a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch, so I might have a 1/4 to 1/2 inch hanging off, but you won't be able to see that because of the back of the rack. So what I need to do is get rid of this part up here, and it's nice because it just snaps on and off. So I should be able to just remove it like this, and I'm going to mount this just like that. Make it in line with the first one so that it goes on the track nice and smooth. So for the second one, I'm going to be working on the back side. So again, I'm going to color in these ridges with the graphite pencil. Thanks, guys in the driveway. Then I'm going to use a straight edge, and I'm going to line these up. Press down. And there's my marks. This time I'm going straight in with my larger bit. Now I'm going to hit them with the countersink tool, all 4 of them on both sides, just to give them a little play. So I'm going to take it. You'll notice that on the Topeak track, the end of the adapter that should slide in first, it's beveled here at the ends, and the back one isn't. So since I want these to line up well, I'm going to put this bevel facing towards the other one that's already mounted there. Notice on this one, I'm going straight for the drill. I'll show you, I don't know if you can see where it's poking through. Just about broke through on the back side of the plastic, but that's great because it's right in the middle of that channel, so it shouldn't interfere with anything. Finish them off with the screwdriver. I'm going to make sure this slides on completely and come back, put some finishing touches on this. Okay, here we have the finished product. This looks awesome. Very happy with the way it came out. It doesn't come off the bike when I pull on it. The latch up there staying fully engaged, and I can depress it and get it off if I want to. Let me try to take this off and see. And depress that, push back. Here it is mounted. That's it. Very solid. As solid as the Topeak rack is itself. Now let's see if it accomplishes my mission, which was obviously to be able to haul 2 lawn chairs on there. Really happy with the way that came out. Take a look at the bike overall. It's well within the width of the platform, but the platform's more than big enough to give it full support. So again, I've got more tools than I have talent, but this came out really nice, and my wife and I, we're going to try that, take that to the beach. I think I can also put the large cooler on there. Just like that, that fits as well. Or even more. So I've got my flatbed that I can remove in about 15 seconds. Put my regular bag on there. Gonna be another accessory I've got for my e-bike, try to make it as versatile as possible. And if you enjoyed this video or found it informative, please do me a favor, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.